So I'm looking at a video from the Humanist Report that Mike Figueroa just put out, and I've been actually watching the Humanist Report for quite a while now. It's one of the better YouTube podcasts, so check it out. But I'm going to be looking at one that he just put out today. Let's see what it's about.
Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has promised to stop Brett Kavanaugh at all costs, but in order for him to actually be effective at doing this, he not only needs to swing at least one Republican to their side to vote against Kavanaugh, he's got to do something that I think will be even harder, and that is keep 100% of Senate Democrats unified in their opposition to Brett Kavanaugh.
Okay, so let's just state from the outset that the odds of this working are not very good. So it'll probably be a fool's errand either way. But thinking about it objectively, do they really want to block Kavanaugh? Even from the left, do you really want to block Kavanaugh? Because when you're waging a political fight like this, like blocking a presidential nominee, it takes a lot of political capital. It's a heavy lift to do politically. Okay, you're going to expend a lot of political capital on doing that with no guarantee of results. But okay, let's say the unlikely scenario is true and it happens, they're able to block Kavanaugh. So what happens then? Well, Trump just gets to make another appointment. He appoints somebody else. And all his other nominees, potential nominees, are pretty much right there with Kavanaugh. I mean, Amy Coney Barrett, there's pretty much everybody on that list is a solid bona fide conservative. Now, you are most assuredly not going to be able to block two consecutive nominees from Trump. That would be unbelievably, that would take a ton of political capital. There's no way you can block two of them back to back. Because the social conservatives, the hardcore social conservatives, were actually kind of hoping for Amy Coney Barrett. Now, I'm of the opinion I think Kavanaugh was the better pick, even though I am somewhat socially conservative on some of the issues. But you had people like Rick Santorum out there who were kind of disappointed with the Kavanaugh pick because they thought that Coney Barrett would be the true conservative out of the bunch.
Now he's starting to learn the hard way that his party is a lot more far gone than he originally anticipated. I mean, he's someone who is a corporate centrist himself, but he's seeing that even the mere prospect of him whipping up their votes is outrageous to some Democrats like Joe Manchin. So as Avery Anapol of The Hill reports, Democratic Senator Joe Manchin had strong words for Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer's efforts to unify the party against President Trump's Supreme Court pick. Manchin suggested to Politico that Schumer does not have any influence over whether or not he supports Brett Kavanaugh's nomination. I'll be 71 years old in August. You're going to whip me? Kiss my you-know-what, Manchin told Politico, referring to whipping votes among the party caucus. So that's how Joe Manchin responds at the thought of Senator Chuck Schumer applying even the most minimal amount of pressure to get him to vote against Kavanaugh.
Now, why would Joe Manchin be a little hesitant to take Chuck Schumer's advice on this one? Why would he be a little hesitant to, you know, just oppose President Trump's nominee from the beginning? Why do you think that is? Well, maybe it's because Donald Trump carried the state of West Virginia that Joe Manchin represents. But you see, he didn't just carry West Virginia. He didn't just win West Virginia solidly. A landslide is not even an appropriate term. It was just a bloodbath. He beat Hillary Clinton by over 40 points in West Virginia. It was an absolute slaughtering. Okay. The people of West Virginia are obviously, not going to be too receptive to what Chuck Schumer has to say. The only type of Democrat or liberal who can win in West Virginia would be Bernie Sanders, because he actually is offering the people of West Virginia something tangible, something real, something that's going to make things better. The establishment Democratic Party has nothing for the people of West Virginia. Nothing. So you can win in West Virginia as a Democrat, but you can't be a national establishment Democrat. You have to be a West Virginia Democrat like Joe Manchin. So when you're running in a state that where Donald Trump has overwhelming support, where he overwhelmingly won, and you tried to defy, you tried to oppose the president, that's going to take a lot of political capital from you to be able to sustain that. And you can't do that all the time, so you really have to pick your issues. Now, Joe Manchin doesn't agree with President Trump every single time across the board, but he can't oppose him every single time across the board either. And I promise you, the people of West Virginia are not sitting up at night, you know, worried about, Roe versus Wade. That's not keeping the people of West Virginia up worried late at night.
He's too far gone. I mean, if you have a member of your party openly contemplating voting for the other party's president in 2020 or endorsing the other party's president in 2020, that individual is too far gone, and you've got to reel them back in by doing things that are very unorthodox. He's not going to listen if you just resort to the normal tools that you typically would use as a leader at your disposal. If you say, well, look, you're not going to have any committee appointments, he's not going to care. He's not doing shit anyway. If you just tell him, look, we're not going to endorse you, we're not going to fund you, well, he's raising enough money from large multinational corporations to where he probably doesn't really need fundraising from the party itself. You have to get a little bit crazy here.
A little crazy, you say?
Maybe it's Ron Liebman.
I did as you requested, that woman. I'm still over there. And at the same time, I'm here. And look, I'm there. And there, too.
Well, maybe it's Madonna, or John Candy, and Adrienne Barbeau.
Yeah.
You'll never catch me. I'll keep on fighting myself until you lose count.
I'll divide myself into quarter-acre lots. I'll build houses so close to myself you won't be able to catch me.
And be more unorthodox in the pressure that you exert, and it may not work. But you've got to try. If I were Chuck Schumer, I would be telling Joe Manchin, look, since you want to be a Republican anyway, we're just going to make sure that we get a real Republican. So every single day you don't commit to voting against Brett Kavanaugh, we're funding your opponent. We're giving him $1,000 every single day. And if you vote in favor of Kavanaugh, guess what we're going to do? We're going to endorse your opponent, and we're going to give him $10,000. Now, even if it's the case that Chuck Schumer doesn't do this, because I don't want a Republican to win, obviously, but even if he doesn't do this, at least call Joe Manchin's bluff.
Yeah, no, I appreciate this is quite a difficult scenario, but yeah, this isn't going to work at all. And unless Joe Manchin has, a room temperature IQ, he's not going to be scared in the slightest. Now, when you say we, who is we? When you say Chuck Schumer should say, we are going to donate to your opponent. Is that the DNC? Is that the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee? Who is we? Now, if you're talking about Chuck Schumer personally making a private contribution to Joe Manchin's opponent, okay. But as far as any type of organizations go that raise money from people, I don't think that would be legal. I don't think you can raise money from people for, under the guise of one political party and then take that money and give it to the other side. That would be like fraud, right? It would be kind of like saying, oh, we're not giving money to Planned Parenthood for abortions. We're giving money to them to do other things with. Which, of course, then frees up other money that they would have had to spend for them to then spend that money on abortion.
Do something drastic to make sure he votes against Kavanaugh, because this is important. This will affect policy for generations. Kavanaugh is young enough to remain on the Supreme Court to do damage for 20, maybe 30 years. So if you truly care about the American people, you should do everything short of tying him up and literally threatening him, because this can't happen. This is an individual that voted for Neil Gorsuch.
So yeah, it's definitely going to be closer to 30 years than the 20 years. But, I'm going to say again, do you think that a subsequent nominee would be much better to your liking than Brett Kavanaugh? I'm guessing not. And yeah, this appointment is going to shape things for many, many years to come. And that's just how it goes. The Democrats did this to themselves. They are just not very good at playing politics. They're playing checkers while the Republicans are playing chess. So the Democrats' lack of intelligence and spinelessness is what put them in this position to begin with. But that damage is already done.
He's probably just tepidly saying, "Oh, will you please not vote for Kavanaugh? Can we please remain united? Oh, please, 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 pretty please." That's not going to work, Chuck. It's not going to work at all. You have rebellious Democrats, basically children, who you need to discipline in order to get them to listen. And the nerve of them. Claire McCaskill said, Chuck Schumer knows better than to come to me, Claire McCaskill. She also states, he knows I'll tell him to take a flying leap. So understand, Chuck, they don't respect you. I don't respect you either, so I can get why it's easy for them to be openly insubordinate and tell the press, I don't give a fuck what this guy says. If he tries to tell me to vote a certain way, I'm going to tell him to go fuck himself. They can do that, Chuck, because you're a feckless leader, and simply politely asking them to please not fuck over the party's base for decades to come, that's not going to be enough. They need to be disciplined, reined in, withhold funding, withhold endorsements, go crazy on them to get them to not vote in favor of Kavanaugh.
I know that you are out there somewhere having fun.
You never come and see the baby, you rat!
This is like a classic loopy episode, except I'm having to kill myself.
Maybe they'll all turn into butter.
Whoa, there's a bride for every brother.
Okay, people, if I could get all the dancing red things to one side of the stage and all the singing red things to the other, please.
And you never help me around the house. I hate you.
Boy, zany, huh?
Because, again, the extent to which this would be an unmitigated disaster can't even be comprehended. It can. If he's confirmed, I don't even know what to say. It's going to further ruin the country. So you've got to stop this, but they're openly defying you, Chuck. Do something. Don't let them get away with this. Shame them. Withhold funding. And if you have to, threaten and maybe even possibly fund their opponents. Because this cannot stand. If they openly defy you and get away with it, guess what? You're no longer a leader, because other Democrats are going to do it because they know that they can get away with it. I shouldn't be having to educate Chuck Schumer on how to be a leader.